Hello friends and welcome to Chatterfax Games. Today we are playing chess, but not just any chess. This is 5-dimensional chess with multiverse time travel. Alright, so all the rules of chess apply, but you can also take pieces back into the past or into alternate dimensions. So, very exciting. To start off with, let's check out the guide. Introduction to 5D Chess. Quick rules. Most of the rules are the same as ordinary chess. Your pieces can move through time and between timelines just like they move along rows and columns. The past cannot be changed. Moving a piece to the past causes a new timeline to be created. To complete a turn, make moves until the present shifts to your opponent. If you can't stop one of your kings from being captured, you're checkmated. Go try a match versus the trainer CPU. You can start with a simplified board configuration. Revisit this guide once you have a little bit of context or specific questions. It is recommended that clocks are kept disabled for friendly matches. Ask questions, share tricks, and find people to play with the official Discord. So we're not going to the Discord. The traditional rules that determine how pieces move are not specific to 2 dimensions. These movement rules are interpreted using additional axes and coordinates to describe a piece's position and movement. A piece occupies a row, column, turn, and timeline and can move accordingly. The rook moves any distance in 1 dimension at a time. For example, while a rook is moving along a column, its row, turn, and timeline are constant. Bishop moves any distance in 2 dimensions at once. A direction defined by 2 dimensions is called a diagonal. In ordinary chess, a bishop moves along row column diagonals, but here it can move along any combination of 2 dimensions. The queen moves any distance in any number of dimensions at once. This is more than just rook, bishop, and bishop movement because it includes triangles and quadrangles. The king moves 1 square in any number of dimensions at once. The knight moves 2 squares in 1 dimension and 1 square in a different dimension. The pawn moves 1 or 2 squares in the forward direction. Here, forward includes the direction towards your opponent's back timeline. The pawn can attack forward 1 square along row, column, and timeline turn. Time-like diagonals. Okay. Turns and timelines. Whose turn is it? The player who moves while it is their turn in the... A player makes a move while it is their turn in the present. To complete a turn, a player must make moves until the present shifts to their opponent. This can be done by taking action on multiple boards until the present advances, or by creating a timeline in the past that rewinds the present. Which timelines must be played? A player can ignore timelines that are not needed to advance or rewind the present. If a player branches twice before their opponent branches 1, the extra branches will be inactive and won't affect the present until their opponent makes more branches. You can tell whether your next branch will be active by looking for the purple indicator in the present. How are timelines created? If a piece moves to a board where a move has already occurred, a new timeline branch is created because history cannot be altered. The latest move on the new timeline is the time-traveling piece's arrival. The latest move on the original timeline is the time-traveling piece's departure. What is checkmate? If a player has no way to move the present without leaving their king attacked, then they are checkmated or stalemated. In ordinary chess, this means they cannot make any move without leaving their king attacked. Here it means they cannot make any sequence of moves that shifts the present without leaving one of their kings attacked. Stalemate can occur in these conditions if the present cannot be shifted, but no king is immediately attacked. What if only one timeline is mated? If it is impossible to advance a particular timeline without leaving a king attacked, you must rewind the present using a piece from a different timeline. A timeline that is soft-mated in this manner often forces the soft-mated player to stall until they can capture the threatening piece from a new timeline. What is a check? A move that attacks a king's past is a valid check. It is not a special case, considering that applying the move would create a timeline with a captured king on it. If a timeline's advancement means the king is attacked, the timeline will have a check indicator on it. Strategy tips and non-standard pieces. The unicorn can move any distance along a triangle. The dragon can move any distance along a quadrangle. The princess is an alternate interpretation of the queen. It can only move in 1 or 2 dimensions at a time. This means it is only rook and bishop movement, not unicorn or dragon movement. The brawn is an alternate interpretation of the pawn. It can attack along any diagonal that includes a forward direction and does not include any backward direction. This is another valid interpretation of the traditional pawn and has more available attacks than just purely space-like or purely timeline attacks. The royal queen moves like a queen, except that it is royalty. If your opponent can capture a royal queen, you are checkmated, okay? The common king moves like a king, except that it is not royalty. It is not significant that a common king is attacked or captured. Okay. All right, so that's the guide. Puzzles. So these puzzles, I think, are designed to teach the game, so let's try it out. Rook tactics, mate in 1. All right, so we started here. King moved up. King moved down. Rook moved over, check. The rook yeah. So I'm just seeing. Yes. So the rook can move along a diagonal, or along a single dimension, right? So if it's on a square, so like I could potentially, like, so if you see, when I click the rook, you see this green square here and this green square here, and you're like, well, the rook's not moving. It's just moving. It's just going back to a previous board, but it's staying on the same square. Why isn't it moving? Well, it is moving. It's moving 1 step back in time, 2 steps back in time, and because it's moving along the time dimension, it can't move along a physical dimension because it can only move along 1 dimension at a time. So, I think the key here is the king is on this square for these 2 turns. So, if I place the rook here, it will be checking the square it's sitting on. So let's submit that. Okay, yeah. So it checks the king, and it technically checks it here as well. Oh no, that's the same. So this is the same turn, so it's landing here on my turn. This is black's turn, or this is after I've moved, so it's black's turn to move. But yeah, so it would be landing on the king, and there's nothing black can do to prevent that at this point. So that's a checkmate. All right, mate in 2. Okay. So right now, a rook can't move back in time because it's blocking itself. It would land on itself, so that's not a thing. But this rook could move back in time. And what would happen if we did? So it moved back to here and created this alternate timeline where it is now the king's turn. So you see the rook has gone from this board and now it's in this timeline. But how do I get the checkmate? So that probably wasn't the right move. Oh, no, it is. It is. So if we grab this one, actually, so now the king just vanished from this board. So he moved back. So he moved one space down, one space back in time, and one space sideways. So he can move one space in any number of directions. So, and that created an alternate timeline here where we can pin the king to the king. And that's got to be a checkmate. Right? Why won't it let me make that move? Oh, because it's been more than 2 moves. All right. So let's just do this for the checkmate, but he's going to move back in time. That's the easy checkmate. And then we'll pin the king to the king. Yep, so if he moves this king, his other king is attacked. So that's either one. He loses either one, so that's a checkmate. Got it. So pinning the king to a king is an interesting tactic because that's an automatic checkmate. Unless he can find some way to capture this piece. Rook Tactics 3, mate in 1. Alright, so let's see how this game progressed. We have a rook move here, king moved down, rook moved sideways, that's check, king moved up. Alright, then the rook moved, it moved one space back in time, creating this alternate timeline. The king moved one space forward in time and one space sideways in time, but landed on the same physical dimension. But yeah, the king is allowed to jump forward as well as sideways. So it's allowed to move in any one space in any number of directions. So it moved forward. Yep. So it's this move. So I could hop up here. And this board has already moved, hasn't it? Yes. So what's going on here is he's already played his move by having his king arrive here. So this move is complete. So if I pull this rook up to here, We've now got this timeline. Nope, that wasn't it. What did he do? How does he get out of that? Because it created a split so he can move here. Alright, so what if I just put it here, and now it's checking the king on that square? Alright, but why can't he get out of that? He can't get out of that because this board has moved. When I moved the rook to that board, it created an alternate timeline where he could move, but by keeping the board here, by keeping the rook on this board, this board is still set. It's already had its move for him, so that is checkmate. All right, rook tactics 4, mate in 1. This can be confusing. All right, so we start off. King and pawn, king and rook. What? Pawn moved forward. Rook moved side. Yeah. So pawn moved forward. Rook moved sideways. King jumped back. Rook moved forward. King came down. So I can move on these two boards. This is mate in 1. Well, so I want to put the rook right here, but then it can be captured. Could be captured by either king there. Should I create an should I jump backwards in time? But how does jumping backwards in time create a checkmate situation? All right. I'm just going to see if this is checkmate. Oh, yeah. So what it is I'm going to put the rook here. And what this rook is doing is it can hop back. It's checking this king in the past. And so it's putting a check on this king here, but it can be captured. But this one move, I'm moving 2 boards. So if I put this rook there, it's guarding this rook. It's protecting this rook across the timeline. Because the rook can jump across the timeline as long as it's staying in the same spot. So if either of these kings captures that rook, this one finishes it. So yes, this is a checkmate. Unless there's something he can do he can't move that king. Good. Rook Tactics 5. Mate in 2. Alright. So I can't move back in time because I'm blocking myself. Alright, what's the trick here? Let's just check him. Well, that's no good. Alright, so if I move up here, that's a traditional checkmate because the king has nowhere to go. So the king will travel back in time. That's the only thing, and that creates this situation here. And then I can move up, and my rook is protecting my rook, and the king is pinned to the king, so we're good. Yep. So he can't capture the rook because this rook is protecting it from across the timeline. And the king is pinned to the king. Ay, 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 ay. I can't imagine. I mean, I'm figuring it out, but playing a whole game of this, there's so much to keep in your head. Yeah, Knight Tactics, mate in 1. Alright. If I move up there, he'll just be captured. Puzzle complete. Why? Oh, okay, so this knight is checking this king because it's 1 step back, 2 steps forward. So 1 step back in time, 2 steps across the board. So that's an L attack. Yep, so yep, and there's nothing he can do to prevent that. Alright. Mate in 1. Alright, can we do... So we started here, king moved up, king moved up. Yes. So it's this square here I want, and the reason I want this square is once that move is made, it'll be 2 steps back in time to this square, 1 step up, and that's checking that king, and he won't be able to capture because I'm guarded by the king. So this is it. So he's checking that king right now. I know it doesn't look like it, but if he moves 1, 2 steps back in time, and then 1 up the board, he takes that king. Alright, Knight Tactics 3, mate in 1. Alright, so let's just take a look at what happened. Knight moved here. Pawn moved up. Knight moved here. Pawn moved up. This pawn is going to promote if we let it get that far. Knight moved back 2, and then 1 in the physical dimension. So 2 back in time and then 1 space to the side to get right here. All right. So then the king moved out here. All right. How do I get a line on either king? So what are my options here? I can create a check, but he can escape that pretty easily. So it's got to be something involving this king here. Right here, we'll create a check on this king because it's 2 spaces away from the king and 1 space across the timeline. So if I move here, it'll create a check on this king, and I don't think he can change that. Yep. So this knight could move 1 across the timeline, 1, 2, and he can't move on this board. The move has already been made. So he would have to capture this piece in order to stop that. And he doesn't have anything to capture it with. All right. Knight Tactics 4. Because chess in 2 dimensions wasn't hard enough. I've never been a chess expert. I like to play chess, but I'm okay. I'm not great. So let's see what happened. So king moved up, pawn moved up, king moved up, king moved sideways. And so this is a mate in 1 situation. Is there somewhere where I'm attacking the king that I'm not seeing? Yes. All right. So the important thing is he can move this king, but not this king, and this is the king I'm checking. I'm not checking this king because it's not a knight moves away. This is a knight moves away because it's 1 across the timeline and then 2 forward in the physical dimension. So I am checking that king. He can't move this king because the move has already been made on this board. So unless he can capture this knight on this board, this is done. Interesting. Another mate in 1 for Knight Tactics. So I'm probably creating a split again. I'm probably jumping back in time. Or creating a situation where I can jump back in time. Here. It's defended by the pawn. Here I can be captured. This is a mate in 1. Okay, well, I guess there's 2 options here. That wasn't it. Yeah, so it's not moving the knight in the present. This doesn't get me any closer to checking him. It does. It does, because it gets me to... Yes. Alright. You've got to think 5-dimensionally. If I move this knight here, that puts him on this square. We create a split timeline. But that's 2 moves because, well, he'll have to make a move. No. Nope. This is the one I want. And as soon as he makes a move, so does it still count as 1? As soon as he makes a move, I've got a line on that king from this knight. Yeah. So as soon as he moves on this board moves up, and my next move takes him. So this guy is attacked as soon as he moves. Because it would be 1 up and then 1-2 to attack him. And he can't move because as soon as he moves, this advances and he's there. Yep. Mate in 3. Can I handle a mate in 3? Alright, we're just gonna check him. So these 2 knights are protecting each other. So this is my last move. What am I doing? If I go here, it'll create an alternate timeline that won't be active until he creates an alternate timeline. If I go here, it puts him in check. But then he can just move. We'll give it a try. Nope, that wasn't it. All right, so let's think about what's going on here. Okay, I'm not understanding what to do here. Alright, so let's put him in check. So he has to move here or here. He moves there. This is where they protect each other. But then what does he do? He took it. I thought he was... No, because this one has moved already. Okay. Mate in 3. I'm going to assume we start with check. We've got to start with check. Why do I assume that? Okay. How do I get a line on this? I need to get either here, or here, or here, or here. Here or here will be hard because he can take it. So here or here. But as he's going to move away from that immediately. Yep. That was it? All right. Why does this work? So this is doing a check on this king in the past. Okay. I don't know that that was forced, though. But basically, yeah, as long as you can get your knight within 2 spaces of the king's position. And they can't attack it, then it's game over. Okay. So that's the goal. Knight tactics, mate in 1. Alright, so what happened here? So king moved down. Knight moved down. King moved up. Bishop. Okay, so a bishop is moving diagonally. So what a bishop is doing, if it's traveling back in time, it has to travel the same number of steps along a different dimension that's not time. So travels to here. So it travels 1 step back in time and 1 step sideways, 1 step back in time, 1 step sideways to land there. Okay, so we've created this alternate timeline here. So I have a move that will supposedly checkmate. Yeah. I think if I put my knight right here, no, it's not going back in time though. It is attacking across the board though. I think that's it. Nope. That was not it. Okay. Oh, bishop retook me. Gotta pay attention to the regular chessboard. Okay, so That wasn't it. In fact, I got checkmated. Alright, so this is the board I have to move. Okay, so I've tried both of these and they didn't work. I don't want to move where a bishop can capture me. What is the deal? Bishop can capture me there or there. What about... I'm moving this board. That's... So I have to move either my king or my knight. If I move there or there, his bishop will just capture me. Let's take a look at this again. Okay, so what's the deal here? And that's a checkmate because his bishop is attacking my king in the past. All right. Where is this attacked from over here? It's attacked from here, from here. Let's take a look at this one again. So this one is attacking this one. We're attacking that king here, but he moves his bishop up and gets the checkmate in. Well, I could just take the bishop. Like, I could just take that bishop. Was that bishop defended by something that I'm not seeing? Okay. I haven't tried here. And that's not it. I've tried both of these. He'll just take me. Doesn't matter which bishop. So I want to get a check-in on this king that he can't do anything about. If I move down to this board, it creates an alternate timeline, but neither one is any good because he just immediately checks me. What about here? Yep. What am I missing here? So there's a move that's a mate here. Am I allowed to move this one? So that's a check there. He can't do anything about it. But that's all well and good, but I just need to survive here. So I think like this. But yeah, it'd be more... If we got up here, it'd be a checkmate. Unless he can move one of his bishops across, which he probably can. Why can't I move here? Why isn't that a doable option? Oh, it is. It is. I just need to scroll out farther. I can move here. All right, so once I'm here... Okay. What does this do? That doesn't get me a check at all. But let's see what happens. Both of those check the king, but I'm immediately taken by the bishop. I can't move on this board. This is the board I'm moving on. There's going to be a king right here. I am stumped on this one. Okay. So I can move one across in time and two forward in time and put me right there, but that doesn't do anything. That is a valid move, but it doesn't do anything. So this is not checkmate. This is not checkmate. This is not checkmate. None of these have been checkmate. Oh, okay. There it is. There it is. I'm being dense. All right, so this one can go two back in time, one across in time, wind up on the same square there. All right, so this will check this king in the past. Yes. It doesn't create an alternate timeline because this board is my move, so that is my move on both boards. All right, so this king is checked in the past. There's nothing that can capture this. Let's submit it. That took me way too long. All right, there we go. Yep, it's checking this king in the past, and there's nothing that can capture it from either board. Woo! All right. Bishop tactics, mate in 1. So, honestly, I think just right here will be a checkmate, because it'll move. No, it'll. Yeah. Because what'll happen is it can move from that square in the future, it can move diagonally back to this square and to that square, and there's nothing that can capture from here. So that should do it. Yep, it's checking that king. All right, so by diagonally, I mean it's moving one space. So you can see it can move one space back and at the same time one space forward here, one space back in time, one space forward to here. And so that's the check. Now, I assume you could block it if you could put a piece on the middle one. If he could put a piece, somehow move a piece there, it would block it. Obviously, it can't be his king because that's just another check. But if he had an alternate timeline where he could move a piece back here. Yep, so let's finish that puzzle. That one was easy. Mate in 1. Yeah, so right here means it checks this king in the past. Checks the king one move back. Yep. Right there, and king can't take it. Ay, this is messing with my brain. All right. This is a mate in 1. I think if I just protect the bishop, that should do it. Yep. So as long as he couldn't take the bishop, that was it. That was a simple enough one. This is a mate in 1. Right, where's the king been? Everywhere. I've been everywhere, man. So I can't move up there. And to get to this one, I'd need to be exactly 2 away from it, which I can't be. What about right here? That doesn't do me any good because it doesn't get the check-in on it. What about this one? Let's see what that does. I could move up to there. That's it. Oh, because he moved forward. Okay. Yep, he moved forward, so yep, he's moving into the check, which that's already an established timeline, so it can't be changed. And the bishop checks it. Okay. Pawn is checking the king. So, what's the plan? This is a mate in one. All right. Yes. All right, so what I'm going to do is this bishop is going to move one up and one back in time to take this knight. Now, what that's going to do is create a split timeline here where the bishop is attacking this king up here. Yep. So I don't need to worry about this column yet. So what's happening here is the bishop is moving one forward and one across timeline to here. So the bishop is checking this, which means he needs to either get a piece positioned right here that's not a king, or he needs to move this king, which he cannot do because it's already locked in. So, yep, submit moves. Yep. Perfect. Let's do the last bishop tactics. All right, so just to be clear, didn't we just do this puzzle? Oh no, it's different. It's similar, but different. All right, so. Can I do the same thing? This isn't literally the same thing, is it? What was the difference between those two? Oh no, I just played the same one twice. Alright. Yep. Alright, well, let's just get it. Alright, well, if you're interested in seeing me play more of this, and maybe actually even trying to play a game, I think I'll keep playing through the puzzles to begin with to get the hang of it. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you in the next one. Have a great day.